Second Wave Feminism by Kaya Law. What new goals were pursued by feminist movements during post-war era, and how successful were they in achieving their goals? During World War II, women joined the workforce in place of their husbands to help the factories in militarization and to provide their families while their husbands were away. This became the way of life until the war ended and the soldiers came back to work. Many women were forced back into their domestic house life. This discontent amongst women brought about the second wave of feminism. The first wave focused on female suffrage. But now, feminism in the 1960s through 80s focused on equality in the workplace, reproductive rights, sexuality, and family. They also battled against violence, unfair marital laws, rape, and abuse of women. In the mid-20th centuries, women began to have more educated professions and wanted equality. Women were compelled to get out of the restricting domestic life, which many women found boring. This caused urban women to have kids in their later 20s. Even with this push for change, there was still social inequality. Men were favored in marital and family laws, got better pay, and women were more likely to get fired before the male. Although some factories and jobs accommodated for women during pregnancies and taking care of children. Two very popular books came about in this movement. Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan, an American woman activist and author, wrote this book in 1963, focusing on domestic housewife discontent. And while studying at Smith College in the 1940s, she surveyed women to find that a majority were unhappy with their lives, because after World War II, technology made housework easier, which lessened the importance of the woman's job, which made them want to join the workforce. Another feminist, Simone de Beauvoir, a French author, wrote Second Sex in 1949. This book focused on women's social, economical, and political disadvantage. These books, as well as many other feminist books, helped feminists around the world to open the eyes of others. Many feminists throughout Europe, along with America, tried to help third world women realize their societal oppressions. Because of this, in 1980, started the World Conference of United Nations Decade for Women, Equality, Development, and Peace. They held 4 conferences around the world discussing employment, social, educational, and health equality for women. However, during the second conference in Copenhagen in 1985, third world women complained about the issue wasn't being addressed and a lot of their priorities were being swept under the rug. Through marches and protests, women were able to change laws to better themselves and make it more equal for women. Abortion became legal in European countries, beginning with Britain in 1967 and France in 1974. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 and the Civil Rights Act of 1964 were passed in the U.S., giving women and minorities more equality. Britain had a similar act passed in 1970 regarding equal pay, and in 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first prime minister. Ultimately, many changes were made to favor second-wave feminists' push for equality, especially in Britain and America. Even though equality in the workplace is still an issue today, feminists have worked hard to make it as equal as it is now. As this second wave ideal began to prosper and accomplish its goals, feminists started to fight against sex culture, transcending into a new wave, feminist sex wars, ending the second wave feminism.